I wanted to record this video and talk about successful and unsuccessful students and really the difference between them. And there's already a few different ones I covered. I feel like they start introducing the idea really well, but recently one of my mentors talked about this and he kind of shared this framework and I thought like, wow, it's really well put together. So I wanted to share it as well. And I thought about my journey and I could really resonate with this, relate with this because I approached it the same way. And that's what got me to where I am today. And then I look at some other people, whether it's some of our students or students from any other course, and some people just struggle no matter the coach, the trainer, the information they have. Some people are just notorious. They go through 20 different courses and they're still struggling. And I really was fascinated by the idea, why is that? And there's a few different answers, but really the main answer is rooted in psychology. So I wanted to introduce you to this concept and then really help you see these 5 different types of people. I'm going to give you some examples, and then hopefully by the end of it, you can put yourself in a bucket. You're going to be able to resonate and relate with one of these buckets or multiple of them, and in different areas of life, we can show up as different types of people. So maybe in business, you resonate that maybe you have a winner or champion mindset. Maybe when it comes to health, maybe you show up as a pessimist or as a victim loser. So I'm going to walk you through this first, and then the outcome of this video is that you start to self-identify, you start to become aware how you show up and the consequences of that, because either it's going to help you succeed or it's going to help you fail. So let's begin. It is a universal truth that different teachers or courses or education systems can be good or bad, right? A lot of people say the public education system in the US or even in Europe, and especially Eastern Europe, are terrible. So how come some people go through a terrible education system and they still come out on top? They still become successful, right? 95% of success is how the student consistently shows up. Keyword is consistently, since there's plenty of examples of terrible teachers, fake gurus. You know, people literally sometimes buy courses from people that have never done what they teach, and somehow they still get ahead. Somehow they still make millions, or just a broken education system and they come out as winners. And really the answer, the variable, is the student and the student's mindset, not the teacher. Of course, don't get me wrong, like you're going to be much better off if you're learning from someone who's actually done what they teach and they can teach you real world strategies and they're up to date and stuff like that. Of course, don't get me wrong. But the majority, the main reason you're going to be successful or not is how you show up. And I'll explain it and I'll prove my point. So there's really 5 types. The champion, the winner, the open-minded person, the pessimist, and the victim loser. Now, there's really 2 main variables, your attitude and approach. A champion has a positive attitude and an active approach. So the idea is this type of person, the champion, the way they think is kind of like a revolutionary. If they say that based on first principles, this thing does not seem impossible, like if based on physics, it is not impossible, then there's a way to make it work. And that's kind of how they approach it. Even if nobody did it before successfully, if it doesn't seem physically impossible, I'm going to go for it. And then these are the innovators, the change makers, the people that cure diseases, people that move humanity forward because they dare to dream and they dare to go for it. It's kind of like that Steve Jobs quote, the people that think they're crazy enough to change the world are the ones who do, because nobody else even tries. Right? Think of Elon Musk. He's doing all of these crazy things because he's thinking from first principles, systems thinking, some of these things we cover in the course. And he approaches this thing like, look, if it's not physically impossible, then I'm going to go and prove it to myself and others that I can make it happen. These are champions. If you get a champion and even you put them in a terrible education system, they're still going to find a way to make it work. Second, you have a winner. The attitude's positive, the approach is more passive. They look at it, if somebody else made it work, if somebody else is successful with this, so can I. Success leaves clues. I can retrace their steps. I can model them. I can first copy them, and then I'm going to iterate and innovate in the future. But if somebody else did it, the bottom line is I can do it too. So people that succeed, they typically go in with this type of a mindset. Number 3, you got someone who's open-minded. The attitude's more neutral, right? And the approach is passive. So if it worked for someone else, let's see if it's going to work for me. It's not really positive. It's not really a pessimistic approach. It's more like an open-minded. This can be still good enough, but ideally you go a level or 2 above. Now we enter the difficult clients category. You have a pessimist. Someone who has a negative attitude and a passive approach. Well, it worked for somebody else. Maybe it worked for 1,000 other people, but probably it's not going to work for me, right? And then what you focus on is where energy goes. What you focus on is what you're going to get. This is why they say when you're driving a car, or say you're skiing, right? And you're going down real fast and you see a tree in front of you. They say, you know what? Do not focus on the tree, because that's where your body is going to go. You're going to hit the tree. You want to focus on where you want to go. This applies in skiing. This applies in car racing. They always teach this lesson, because where you focus, unconsciously your body is going to go there. So there's this Henry Ford quote: whether you believe you can or you can't, you're both right. This is what I mean by that mindset. If somebody comes in with a pessimistic mindset, might have worked for a bunch of people, it's probably not going to work for me, you're probably right. You're probably going to take enough action to half-ass it and not get the result. And then you're just going to prove yourself right. I covered this more in depth when it comes to the identity lesson, the human OS, etc. So it'll start making even more sense once you go through those. Now, the last category is really the worst. These are your one-star customers, the worst clients that you can work with. They're really insufferable, and that's the victim loser type person. The attitude is negative and the approach is active, interestingly enough. The kind of mindset behind this is that they're a special snowflake. Nothing works for them, right? I cannot physically lose weight. Like, no matter what, if I stop eating for months on end, my body is physically not going to die. I'm beyond nature. I'm beyond the laws of physics, right? And the thing with this type of a person is it's underpinned by major trauma, major inadequacy. Deep down, they believe they're not good enough. And psychologically, it is much, much, much more difficult for them to look in the mirror and admit that they didn't work hard enough. They weren't disciplined enough. They didn't try hard enough. And they caused this decade of suffering themselves. They're the root cause, versus it's much easier to just blame somebody else. Oh, your diet plan didn't work. Oh, you're a bad trainer. Oh, the ketogenic diet doesn't work. Oh, the Atkins diet doesn't work. Oh, whatever, right? And yes, different strategies work better for different people, right? There's different ways to lose weight, to make more money. But ultimately, if you go out there and you stick with anything, it will work. Like right now, if you went out there and you did affiliate marketing for 5 years or 10 years, you did e-com, you did coaching consulting, you did an agency, like, do you realize that there's people making millions with each and every one of these models? They all work. Okay, some are less competitive, some are better than others, some have a better timing in today's economy than others, but the bottom line, they all work. So this type of a person goes in with the mindset that no matter all the proof and the seeing people make it work, they come in with this mindset that they're going to actively prove to you and to themselves that it's not going to work for them because they're a special snowflake. And it's really a difficult client to work with. And no matter who's the coach, who's the teacher, they're going to fail. And that's why it's really difficult. Now, if you can change their mindset and really call them out and they realize that they're number 5, now it's pretty easy to take them from number 5 to number 1 because they're already in an active approach. They're already actively trying to prove it to you that it's not going to work. And ultimately, once they make that mental shift, like, look, man, what's more important to you? Is it more important to you to prove to me that you're not going to make it work? Or you want to prove it to yourself that you can get the result? If they make that little mental switch, then they can often go from a victim loser to a winner or a champion very quickly. Let me give you some examples. Like, you can buy from fake gurus online, people that have actually never done what they claim they can do or they teach, and you can still become successful. Now, of course, the message is not here to go out and buy from fake gurus. Of course, you want to buy from people with real track record. It's kind of like us. We've been doing it for 15 years, 100 million in client results, 100,000 social followers, 10,000 customers in 100 countries. Like, we've done this before. We've done the e-com play 100 million, well, maybe not 100 million, but hundreds of different times. So the system works. That is not the question. The question is, how does the student show up and what do they do with the information? Do they take it seriously? Do they take it as if they're in university? Do they take notes? Do they implement? Do they follow through? Are they consistent? Those type of people are going to get results. Or do they come in and on purpose they half-ass stuff, or even subconsciously they half-ass stuff just to prove it to you that you're a bad teacher, that they're a special snowflake and they cannot get the result? Let me give you some more examples. Champions, they create success regardless of the conditions, regardless of the teacher. They have this mindset that I will win no matter what. That is their mindset. Champions, they always learn either what to do or what not to do. Say if you had a terrible math teacher, a terrible whatever kind of teacher, at least you learned what not to do. Say if you were in a terrible relationship, at least you learned what not to look for in a partner. That's how a champion approaches it. They take any outcome and they turn it into an advantage. Versus, you take a type 5, essentially victim loser, it could be the best teacher, it could be the best opportunity. They're still going to find a way to find excuses, to sabotage themselves, and then blame somebody else for their lack of results. You know, type 5 losers, they don't want to win in order to prove that the teacher is bad or the system is bad. And it's kind of funny. It's like drinking poison, expecting the other person, the teacher, to get sick. The best way to prove that the teacher sucks is to beat them, is to take their system, get even better results than them, and then as you reach your potential, they shrink into irrelevance. That is the best way to prove that if their thing doesn't really work. You know, subconsciously, again, I really want to drill this point down home because it is all about trauma, and that's where it begins. It's much easier to blame someone else than to look in the mirror and admit that you're simply not good enough, and that no one else but you are responsible for your results in life or lack thereof. Nobody's going to save you. It is up to you. It's your life. Nobody's going to care more about your health than you. Nobody's going to care more about your finances than yourself. So one thing we want to do with this video is, first of all, help you identify how do you show up in different areas of your life. Again, in business, you might show up as a winner. When it comes to losing weight, maybe you show up as a pessimist. I know I have in the past and I needed to change it. Typically in business, I had a very winner/champion mindset, and that's what got me to where I am today. Otherwise, I would have half-assed everything and I would be here sitting blaming all of these mentors. And let me give you a couple stories. I've had many mentors by now, probably over 10, and many different times I was scammed. Okay, like by scammed I mean I paid this one guy money, I got like a little bit of coaching, and then he blocked me and disappeared. That I call is pretty much a definition of a scam. The guy fucking left me, ghosted me. Yet I still took that knowledge and I still kept going. I hired different mentors, and the aggregate, the sum total, I became a success. I paid this one guy $5K who was supposed to write like an Amazon bestseller, get me published, etc. And what he delivered was a piece of trash. He pretty much paid some people like $5 or $10 on Fiverr to ghostwrite a complete piece of trash, got a completely shitty e-cover. And guess what I did? I went in there and I rewrote the book. I redesigned the book and I got it out there, and we still made it an Amazon bestseller for a few days and then got that certificate or whatever. So I've had my fair share of bad mentors, and I remember one of my first ones that was like 10K. I go inside the program, and it was one of the most basic fucking courses ever. Like, there was audio lessons, not even proper videos, not even PowerPoints. Their Facebook ads were extremely basic. Probably could have found better Facebook ads in a $20 course. Matter of fact, a few years later, and I'm not going to name names, but a few years later, this other guy released the course for $2,000, so 1/5 of the price, and it was probably 10 times the value as the initial one. But still, I took that initial investment of 10K and I still multiplied it and I still got ahead. So sure, the teachers were different. Maybe one was better than the other, but the reason I succeeded is because I approached it with the mindset that I don't care how good the teacher is. Still, caveat, of course, go find the best teachers you can and make sure they have the track record. But still, no matter who you hire, who you work with, if you approach it with the mindset that you're going to find a way to make it work and you're going to prove it to yourself that you can, you are way more likely to win than even if you get the best teacher out there, but you come in with this half-assing mindset of being a pessimist or a victim loser. Nobody can help you. And so, again, part of this video is to start becoming aware, using the simple framework, what's your mindset like when it comes to business or when it comes to other areas of your life. And then as your mentors, your coaches, for us to start calling you out. If we see you slipping into 4 or 5, we will call you out because it doesn't serve you. Because you could enter any coaching program and you're still going to prove it to yourself that you're going to fail. And we ask other students as well to hold others accountable, because you become the average of the 5 people closest to you. You become, like, here's another example. A lot of Navy SEALs, when they go home, they get out of shape, they get fat, they get etc. Why? Because they get out of that environment, that community of winners. When everybody's holding everybody to a high standard, it is a lot easier to work out, to push through, to be a winner. When they go home to their families and they all say, oh, take it easy, take a drink, etc., they always coast and they go downhill. So it is important that we foster a community of winners, people focused on the goal, people taking full measures. They really go all in to get the outcome instead of people being pessimistic or being victim losers, who are the worst type of clients. And it's really insufferable because they put themselves in that issue. The last message I want to leave you with. Success is 80% psychology. Do not take it from me. I've only been doing this for a decade and a half, which is still a decent time, but take it from someone who's like Tony Robbins, right? He's one of my mentors. I paid him pretty much to go to all of his events, like probably 40, 50K. One of the things he keeps repeating, and he's been doing this for like, 40, 50 years now, 80% of success is psychology. The number one reason most people can't lose weight, make more money, do whatever, is not due to lack of information or strategies. Again, there's some strategies, information better than others, but fundamentally they typically all work. You can try any different diet. They typically all work as long as it's based on some fundamental truth, like consume less calories and get some more movement in. And then assuming maybe if you have some underlying health issues, then go to a doctor and get it resolved if you have a thyroid issue, hormone issue. But I mean, if you do those things, you're bound to lose weight, just bound by the laws of nature, right? So, and even weight loss, just to drive this point home, anybody can go out there and Google a diet plan or a workout plan. So that's not the issue. The issue is people get the plan and they do not execute on it consistently and properly over a long enough period of time to get the result. That is the issue. They know what they should do, but they don't do it. They know what they shouldn't do, but they keep doing those bad habits. They try to lose weight, but they keep eating that chocolate cake. That is the issue. And this draws a parallel in business. They know that they should be looking at different products and then sending it to us for product research. But some people enter this program, weeks, months go by, and they haven't researched a single fucking product. So I'm apologizing for my passion when it comes to this. If a type of person doesn't do anything and they expect an outcome, there's not going to be anything. The value is going to be derived from taking action, putting in inputs to get certain outputs out. Right? So one of the jobs we have here, especially with beginners, people that have been never able to make a business successful, is to realize that not only are missing business skills, but 99% of beginners, they have a broken mindset and psychology, which we're here to help them fix. And a big part of this broken mindset and psychology comes from a broken education system. So I get it. It's not your fault. You know, most of our parents, including my parents, they weren't rich. They weren't business people. They didn't teach me the right habits and mindsets of successful people, of rich people. But now that you're an adult, it is your job and your responsibility to start learning about this, to start becoming aware of your own shortcomings and inadequacies, and then do something about it to improve it. Because that is the only way you're going to succeed. So remember, inputs equals outputs. You're going to get out of this course what you put in. And it is quintessential that you recognize how do you show up. And if you show up as anybody else other than a champion winner, potentially an open-minded person, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And nobody wants that. We're here to help, but it's going to be your job to recognize and become self-aware enough to understand where you're at, and then do the work psychologically to become a type of person that it takes to succeed. So hopefully that drives the point home. Again, I apologize if I come across a little bit passionate. But finally, I find this framework from one of my mentors, Hormozi, put this in perspective, made it very simple, very clear to understand that there's these different types of people, and some type of people succeed and some don't. And by understanding this, you can start making changes. So this is Peter Szabo. See you in the next one.